Okay, first I have my character palette up and I'm going to turn on the Clicky Copy. I'm going to click to the Clicky Copy and hit the M key because I want to make a little tiny copy of all the numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go like that, hit Command or Control J, and now if you see I have my little copy there. Okay, so I hit the V key and I move it over just so I can put the number 4 in place. All right, so sometimes let me Control Z back and put it right back in place. Okay, now I'm going to remove opacity from it so I can barely see it, but you can see now that I can use my technique here to click to your bottom dial. You're doing a great job. But now I have this layer that is way opacity back and I can see where to put the number. So that'll make it a lot easier, okay? And I'm going to use, of course, I'm turning the Clicky Copy on. I'm going to use black. So let's make sure that the character palette is in black, okay? So I click that, in the character palette, I click the color thing. I'm going to go at let me just try 8 points for now and see. So, and I have, I'm going to put in Arial Bold just to try, okay? And I may have to increase the size. So let me go to click, and type in a number 4. Actually, that's not bad, okay? So let me see if there's an Arial Heavy, or I may try Mirrored Bold. So I'm going to click this with the Move tool and zoom in. Okay, so let's just go see if there's a Boulder Bold. No. So let me try Myriad. I'm going to try Impact. You may have Impact on your machine. Oh, that wasn't good. Nope. So Impact Regular, no, that's not it. I'm going to go back to Arial Bold. And I'm going to make it, let's just go up in size a little bit. Okay, right about there. Okay, so that's pretty good because I can use my transform capability to put it in place, okay? And it may even be Helvetica Bold. I don't know. You got it. You have to experiment, but I have it right there. See it? Okay, so there's a reason why I'm going to do this, but I'm going to duplicate the layer. So I have a safe one. I'm turning it off. Now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take it away from being a font. So I right-hand click on the copy one and I go to Rasterize type. Now it's not a font, it's just a piece of art. Now, if I hit Control T, do you see how I can maneuver it in place? I have to hold the Shift key if I want to make it wider. Just have to hold the Shift key and move one of them out. Now let's get close to it. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in place and I'm going to turn it so the bottom lines up. Now don't worry about the jaggedness. It'll get better. So now you hold Control and it turns into the Reshape tool, right? Here, I'll move it over. Watch. You hold Control first, then grab this, and do you see how I can bend it in place? Now let me Control Z back. So let me Control Z back again and again. Okay, so I have a regular type, right? Although I've now made it into, remember, I right-hand clicked and I went to Rasterize Layer. Okay, now I hit Control T. Now, I want to turn it so this vertical lines up with that vertical. Okay, so let's go over to here, and actually it's not bad the way it is, but no, I'm going to change what I just said. See how the bottom is flowing along this line? So let's turn it until the bottom kind of lines up like this. And again, don't worry about how jagged it looks. It'll be okay, because when I hit the return key, it'll be better. Now, hold Control and fold it in place. Now I'm going to move it away from itself, and I'm going to see, well, that turned out awfully nice. So I'm going to hit the return key. And you see how that looks pretty good? Okay, now let's do the number 5. Well, Do I have to retype it? The answer is no. Remember the number 4 that I had already put right here? Well, I'm going to duplicate it again. And watch this. I'm going to turn off this one. This is still a font, right? So I can double click it and make it into a 5. See that? Cool. Now, I'm going to hit the move tool and put it down over here. And let's now zoom in. Okay? Now, I don't want this to be a piece of type, right? I don't want it to be text. So I right-hand click and go to Rasterize. Now, I hit Control T and I turn it. And I just squishy squash it. Now, in the new Photoshop, and I'm going to move it away so I can turn it in about the right way. I can't just grab this and squishy squash it. The whole thing will squishy squash. So I have to, it will just scale, not squishy squash. So I hold the Shift key and I go like this. Do you see how cool that is? Now, all I have to do is put that one in place, right, in a minute. But again, hold Control, then grab the top, and I'm going to skew it. Whoops, I missed. And I'm going to grab this and skew it a little bit. I'm still missing for some reason. So I have to hold this. It turns into the Reshape tool. There, that took 2 times. I don't know why that's not doing that. So I'm going to hit the return key, and I'm going to Control T it. Sometimes that is what it takes. All right, you have to enter, hit the enter key, because I need to skew it up a little bit. So I'm going to hold Control, grab this, and skew it up. And I don't know why that's not. Let me see if it does it here. No, it's not letting me reshape it. Oh, you know what? It didn't want me to grab. It didn't want me to grab the box. It wanted me to grab the edge. So I'm going to hold Control until it turns into the Reshape tool, and I'm going to grab this, and let me see if it's still letting me do it. There. No, I can grab the box. I don't know why it wasn't letting me, but I'll do another one. So now the number 5 is in place. Now let me hit the return key, and you can see how nice that looks, especially when I back off. So let's go do the number 3. Okay, and that should be enough for you to see. And then you only have to do one of these, and do you see how you can continue to skew it in place? So let me go do the number 3. Now how do I do the number 3? I take that piece of text that I had here, and I duplicate it again. I'll turn off the bottom one, double click the T, hit the number 3. Go to the move tool and put it in place. Now, what do we have to do? Well, we have to right-hand click and rasterize it. Cool. Hit Control T. Now let's see if I can do this. I'm just going to rotate it for a second by holding my cursor out like this. And that one actually looks pretty good if I put it right in place like this, rotate it a little bit more. I don't have to skew it, but now remember, if you have to skew, and I'll skew this one, but even though I don't have to, look, I can hold the Control key, grab this, and I should be able to skew it any way that I want when I grab that box. I don't know why that number 5 wasn't working, but Photoshop is not perfect. So now I hit the return key. I'll do I'll do one of these little swatchy things, one of these little numbers, sorry, the little dashes. So I hit the M key and I make a rectangle. I make a new layer, call it dash. Now, I'm going to fill it with black, okay, because they're black, right? Okay, the problem is I have it, I'm going to have to move it up so you can see it fill with black. So on this layer, I'm going to fill with the foreground color, which is Alt Backspace. Okay, now I deselect. Now that's all I have to do. I can keep on duplicating dash. So let me take this one and duplicate it. And now I take the V key and I'll put it in place right here. Now if I hit Control T, do you see how I can turn this one, squishy squash it? Now what key do I have to hold to squishy squash it? The answer is the Shift key, and you can see how I can squishy squash it. Now I'll hit the return key. Now on that one, I can duplicate it for both of these little ones. So I take this one and drag it into the new layer icon, move it over like this, hit Control T, turn it, I'm going to show you a trick, which is a little easier. Let me explain something to you. Control T always, when I hit Control T, you see how it's always vertical and horizontal, but my item is actually on an angle. Well, there's a trick to making this work, because if I hold the Shift key and squish it, it doesn't do it as well. Let me try not holding the Shift key. No. So I'll show you the little trick, okay? When you have it on an angle and you want it on an angle, first turn it back to being kind of horizontal and vertical. Good. Now hit the return key. Now hit Control T again, and you see how the bounding box is perfect. So now I can hold the Shift key, drag it up, and it stays in proportion. I'll hold this and move it in a little bit like that, move it away. Let's now hold the Shift key and squishy squash it a little bit more. Now when I turn it, it should be really good. Do you see how I did that? So you're going to have to do the same thing. I would use this vertical one here for all of them. So now I have that one correct. Now it should be that all I'll have to do on this one is duplicate it, hit the V key, move it over for this one, hit Control T, and just turn it. Now let me move it away so I can move it back and see how I'm doing. And that one worked very well. So that should kind of show you exactly how to do the numbers, and each one is individual, and go through this again and practice. When you remember, when you're in the transform box, you have to hold the Control key first when you want to skew something. So hold Control, then grab a corner. Here, I'll show you again. So let me hit the V key, right hand click, and go to layer 1. No, not layer 1. Oh, I have to go down to, I have to turn off this. Now it'll take me to there. Now I can put that back. And meaning this layer 1 copy where the numbers were, all right, that's actually higher in the layer process. So whenever I hit the V key and I right hand click, it's always going to take me to layer 1, not that number. I have to turn off the upper thing in order to right hand click and get to the lower thing. That's what I wanted you to see. Now I can turn this on. This is just to practice. This is just to practice with the transform tool. So you hit Control T, remember to hold the Control key, wait for the icon to turn white, and then you should be able to skew it. See how it's not letting me skew that? I don't know what is the deal here, but let me try it again. Let me hold the Control key and grab the edge. Okay, sometimes just grab the edge and not the box, Deanna, okay? So now that should help you. I'll hit the return key and life is good.